Yeah, good evening everyone. Hope you have done very well the FST 7, both paper 1 and paper 2. The paper looks to be little promising, which means little easy. Hope you have done well, and let's see how the paper you have done, and let's solve. Yeah, in FST 7 paper 1, the question starts with question number 41. In this, for pure water, at 25 degrees Celsius, concentration of H2O is equals to 55.55 mole per liter, provided density of water is equal to 1 gram per cc. Yeah, we'll see this one. As we all know that molarity is equals to weight divided by gram molecular weight into 1000 divided by volume in ml. For 1 liter of water, volume is equals to 1000 ml. Given that density is equal to 1 gram per cc, therefore weight of water is equals to 1000 grams. Now molarity is equals to 1000 divided by gram molecular weight 18 into 1000 divided by 1000. That is equals to 55.55 moles per liter. Hence that option is true. Option A. Option B. Ionic product of water is equals to 1 into 10 power minus 14 moles per liter whole square. Let's see this one. As we know that H2O, which gives rise to H plus plus OH minus. Here, initial concentration C 0 0. At equilibrium state, it will be C minus C alpha and C alpha. As we all know that ionic product of water at 25 degrees Celsius, Kw is equals to 10 power minus 14 molar square. Now, this is ionic product of water Kw is equals to concentration of H plus into concentration of OH minus. Therefore, for pure water, concentration of H plus is equals to concentration of OH minus. Therefore, Kw is equals to concentration of H plus whole square, that is equal to 10 power minus 14. Which implies that concentration of H plus is equals to 10 power minus 7 molar. Which implies that concentration of H plus, as we know that C alpha, that is equals to 10 power minus 7 molar. As we know that concentration C is equals to 1000 divided by 18 into alpha, that is equal to 10 power minus 7 molar. Which implies that alpha is equals to 18 into 10 power minus 10 molar. Which implies that alpha is equals to 1.8 into 10 power minus 9 molar. Therefore, the degree of dissociation alpha is equals to 1.8 into 10 power minus 9 molar, which is true. The ionization constant. For anything, ionization constant Ka is equals to, as we all know, that C alpha square. Actually, it should be from this one, as we can write Ka is equals to, what we have to write here? Concentration of H plus into concentration of OH minus divided by concentration of H2, which means that is equal to C square alpha square divided by C into 1 minus alpha. But 1 minus alpha is approximately equals to 1 because the degree of dissociation of water is very, very less. Here C gets cancelled, therefore K is equals to definitely C alpha square. As we know that Ka is equals to C alpha into alpha, we can write C alpha is equals to 1.8 into 10 power minus, here it is there 1.8 into 10 power minus 9 whereas C alpha into, whereas the C alpha is equals to concentration of H plus 10 power minus 7. That is equals to 1.8 into 10 power minus 16. Therefore, the options are going to be A, B, C, D are correct for question number 41. So this is a very preliminary question, like primary kind of question. We all know that how to solve this one. So this is elaboratedly we explained. Hope you can understand this. Question number 42. It's from thermodynamics. Gamma for a mixture of 1 mole of monoatomic gas and 1 mole of diatomic gas is equals to 1.5. As we all know that gamma is equals to Cp divided by Cv. For monoatomic gas, Cv is equals to 3R by 2. Cp is equals to 5R by 2. For diatomic gas, Cv is equals to 5R by 2. Cp is equals to 7R divided by 2. For a mixture, gamma of a mixture is equals to, gamma of a mixture which is equals to, what do we have to do here? N1 Cp1 plus N2 Cp2 divided by N1 Cv1 plus N2 Cv2. That is equals to 1 mole of this one, 1 into Cp1 5R by 2 plus 1 into 7R by 2 divided by 1 into 3R by 2 plus 1 into 5R divided by 2. Therefore this gets cancelled. Now it is going to be 5 plus 7, that is 12. 12 divided by 8. So for 2 0, for 3 0, that is equals to 1.5. Such that gamma of a mixture is equals to 1.5. True. Next, option B. Option B. The magnitude of work involved when an ideal gas expands from V1 to V2 is less when expansion is done isothermally as compared to carried adiabatically. Actually, as we all know that, we know the curve PV this is isobaric, isothermal, adiabatic, isochoric. You know that isothermal is definitely greater than the adiabatic. Therefore, that option is wrong. The internal energy of an ideal gas not change in the isothermal process. For an isothermal process, delta T is equals to 0. If delta T equal to 0, delta U is equals to N into Cv delta T, which implies that U is equals to 0. Change in internal energy is equals to 0. That is true because during an isothermal process, there will be no change in the temperature of the system. Next. Option D. The fraction of heat utilized in increasing internal energy of a monoatomic gas is 3 by 5 when heat is supplied under constant pressure condition. Under constant pressure condition, which means for which gas the fraction of heat utilized in increasing internal energy of a monoatomic gas. For a monoatomic gas, Cp is equals to, just now we have seen Cp is equals to 5R divided by 2. As we all know that Cp minus Cv is equals to R. Cp is equals to Cv plus R. Therefore, here Cp is equals to, as we know that this is going to be 5R by 2, that is equals to, this is 3R divided by 2 plus R. Which means this is the amount of heat energy which is supplied and this is the amount of heat energy which is utilized to rise its internal energy. This is what the first law of thermodynamics. When you supply some amount of heat energy to the system, it will be utilized in the two ways. One is some part of it is utilized to rise its internal energy and some part of it is utilized to do work done. So what they are asking, increasing internal energy of a monoatomic gas is 3 by 5. Let us check. Internal energy is a 3R by 2 divided by total amount of heat energy is a 5R divided by 2. That is equals to 3 by 5. True. 3 by 5. Therefore, those options are going to be A, C and D. True. Next. Question number 43. Question number 43. Which of the following statements are correct for a lyophobic soul? There will be two types of soul, as we know, that lyophilic souls as well as the lyophobic souls. Lyophilic souls, where there is a force of attraction between the dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Lyophobic souls, where there will be no force of attraction between dispersed phase as well as the dispersion medium. Lyophilic souls can be formed or prepared by direct adding. Lyophobic souls are formed by special methods, Bredick's arc method or by grinding methods or some special methods. We can prepare them. Now let's see. It can be easily solvated. No, not possible. They are not easily solvated. Lyophilic souls can be easily solvated. Next, it carries charge. Yeah, absolutely. Most of the lyophobic souls can carry the charge. That is why there will be two different types of souls are present. Positive souls and negative souls. The coagulation of this soul is irreversible in nature. Absolutely true. When a lyophilic soul is coagulated, it can be reverted by just adding the solvent. Whereas lyophobic soul is not like that. It is less stable in solvent. Yes, true. Therefore, option is going to be B, C and D. Those are irreversible because they have to be, we have to prepare them by the special methods, not by direct methods. Question number 44. Question number 44. Which of the following statements is or incorrect? Beryllium, like nitrogen, forms a diatomic molecule Be2. Nitrogen forms N2 molecule, as we all know that. Whereas beryllium, Be2 molecule does it form? We'll see. Beryllium atomic number is 4, therefore Be2 is having the total number of electrons are going to be 8. Therefore its molecular orbital electronic configuration sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2. Because the differentiating electrons are entering into the anti-bonding molecular orbital, therefore it is going to be highly unstable. Hence the molecule B2 cannot be formed, whereas molecule B2 can be formed, as we all know that B2 can be formed, as the molecule C2 can be formed, as the molecule N2 can be formed. In both B2 as well as C2 and N2, electrons are going to be entering into the bonding molecular orbitals but not in the anti-bonding molecular orbitals. The dipole moment of CH3F is greater than that of CH3Cl. As in this case, CH3F, CH3Cl, we look at only when it comes to the dipole moment, mu is equals to charge into distance. In the case of the chlorine, carbon-chlorine, distance is more, but the charge separation is going to be less. Whereas in the case of the fluorine, charge separation is more. Therefore, the product of charge as well as the distance, here it is more, therefore its dipole moment is going to be high. Hence, the dipole moment of CH3F is greater than that of the CH3Cl. No, because the distance is going to be very, very high. Here distance is going to be dominated, therefore its dipole moment is more. Hence, this is an incorrect option. HF is a stronger acid than HI because of hydrogen bonding. No, absolutely not. Because of the hydrogen bonding, if you take because of hydrogen bonding, it behaves as a weaker acid when compared with HI. As we all know that the highest acid is going to be HClO4, then after it is going to be HI, then after it will be HBr, then after it will be H2SO4. As we know this order, HI is going to be the one of the strongest acid as we know so far. So, incorrect options are going to be A, C, D for question number 44. Question number 45. For a second order reaction, A gives rise to B. For a second order reaction, A gives rise to B. Select the correct option. Here symbols have their usual meaning. The degree of dissociation is equals to 1 minus, now let us see this one. Initially at time t is equals to 0, A 0, A minus x, x. Right. Now let us take for this one let us take for this one, first one, the degree of dissociation. So before we go to that one, let us take rate constant K is equals to, for second order reaction, 1 divided by T into 1 by A minus X minus 1 by A. K into T is equals to 1 divided by A minus X minus 1 divided by A. Now KT plus 1 by A is equals to 1 divided by A minus X, which implies that A minus X is equals to 1 divided by KT plus 1 by A. Right? Yeah. Now, which implies the degree of dissociation is equals to X equals to A minus 1 divided by KT plus 1 divided by A. This is going to be the degree of dissociation that they were mentioned. You can check with that option. If you get the A as common, you are going to get the same thing. You can check with that one. Next. Next one. Next option. The plot of 1 divided by AT versus T is a straight line. The plot of 1 divided by AT, which means A minus X. As we know that KT is equals to 1 divided by AT minus 1 by A, which implies that 1 by AT is equals to KT plus 1 divided by A, which implies that Y is equals to MX plus C. 1 by AT yes, which is a straight line. Next, the time taken for the completion of 75% of the reaction is thrice the T half of the reaction. Let us check this one. As we know that T half of the second order reaction is equals to, now you substitute here A minus A by 2 T half when it comes to A minus A by 2. Therefore, it becomes 2 by A. Now 2 by A minus A, therefore 1 divided by A, such that T half is equals to 1 divided by K into 1 divided by K into A. T half. Now let us check T 75%. T 75% is equals to 1 divided by K. Now 75% will be completed. 75% will be completed, which means 3A by 4 is finished. X equal to 3A by 4. So 1 divided by A minus 3A by 4 minus 1 divided by A. T 75% is equals to 1 by K 4A. Now it becomes 4 divided by A minus 1 divided by A. T 75% is equals to 1 by K. Therefore, T 75% is equals to 1 divided by Ka into 3. That is equals to 3 into T half for a second order reaction. For a first order reaction, T 75% is equals to 2 into T half. Whereas for second order reaction, 3 into T half. Don't forget this one. Take it as a result, or you can prove it's not at all a problem. Therefore, question number 45, options are going to be A, B and C. Next, question number 46. Which of the following compounds liberate nitrogen on heating? NH4NO3 you take. NH4NO3 upon heating gives N2O plus 2H2O. N2O gas will be liberated. NH4Cl upon heating, as we know that NH3 plus HCl. Next. Option C, NH4 taken twice Cr2O7 gives rise to, it liberates N2 plus Cr2O3 plus H2O. Next, NH4Cl4, NH4ClO4, ammonium perchlorate. Ammonium perchlorate, it gives N2 plus Cl2 plus H2O. Similarly, NH4 IO3 also can give, remember. This one also upon heating it gives N2 plus I2. Don't forget. Therefore, which can liberates both the C as well as D. Question number 47. Which combination gives sulfur dioxide? Which combination gives a sulfur dioxide? P4 plus SOCl2. It gives PCl3. Next. H2SO4 plus NH3, absolutely no issue. Ammonium sulfate it gives. P4 plus SO2Cl2. Here what does it give? First it gives a PCl3 and further upon heating it gives a PCl5 plus SO2. In the previous paper we have seen, in FST 6 we have seen, for 1 mole of this one we need 10 moles. You remember? Yes. So over here 4 if you take 1 mole and it is going to be 10 moles, it gives sulfur dioxide gas. Next, P4 plus H2SO4 concentrated gives rise to, what does it form here? H3PO4, right? H3PO4 can be formed along with the liberation of sulfur dioxide gas. True. Not only phosphorus, even you take iodine, even you take any metal, like any metal as well as the non-metal, upon treated with concentrated H2SO4, it liberates a sulfur dioxide gas. Upon treated with HNO3, concentrated HNO3, except a few like iron, like gold, noble metals like gold, so platinum, except that one, remaining all, when it reacts with the concentrated HNO3, they liberate nitrogen dioxide. Remember that one. Next, when it comes to question number 48. Question number 48. A aqueous plus NaOH, sodium hydroxide, gives B gas plus NaCl aqueous. A aqueous plus C aqueous gives rise to D gas plus NaCl aqueous plus H2O. FeSO4 aqueous plus CH3COOH aqueous plus C aqueous gives rise to FeH2O taken 5 times NOSO4. Now let us check. If gas B turns moist red litmus to blue, red litmus to blue, therefore it is going to be a basic solution. Then which of the following statements are correct? C may be NaNO2. Let us check. C may be NaNO2. Yeah. FeSO4, this is, we can call it as a Brown ring test. Brown ring test can be given by not only nitrite but also nitrate. Both nitrite as well as nitrate upon heating, they definitely produces brown ring. Definitely they can produce a brown ring. Next. So what is actual solution of this one? It can be any chloride, surely. It can be some chloride. Therefore it is going to give some NaCl along with some, for example, any chloride, something like KCl, like that, it is going to give some gas. It is going to produce some gas because they are treated with NaOH. A aqueous plus C aqueous gives rise to D gas. Upon heating gives D gas along with NaCl aqueous plus H2O. So now C aqueous, what is that C aqueous here? NaNO2. NaNO2. So what it is going to be? It definitely going to be some halide ion. Next, question number 49. Question number 49, given that Al2SO4 taken thrice, 3.42 ppm weight by volume and 1.42 ppm weight by volume of weight by volume of Na2SO4. Na2SO4. So if these are the solutions which are mixed, what is the meaning of ppm? Parts per million. For example, 1.42 grams are there for 10 power 6 grams. Now for example, 1.42 grams are there for 10 power 6 grams. For example, for 1000 grams, how much it will be? 1.42 milligrams. This is going to be 3.42 milligrams. Now let us calculate 3.42 into 10 power minus 3 divided by 342 plus 1.42 into 10 power minus 3 divided by 142 into 1000 divided by, for how much we have taken 1000. So it gets cancelled. 3.42 how many times? 100. 1.42 how many times? 100 times. Therefore 10 power minus 5, 10 power minus 5, therefore 2 into 10 power minus 5 molar. Now here concentration of Al3 plus is equals to 2 into 10 power minus 5. Concentration of SO4 2 minus is equals to, here 3 SO4 2 minus, here 1 SO4 2 minus, therefore 4 into 2 into 10 power minus 5. That equal to 8 into 10 power minus 5. Next, sodium. 2 into Na plus ions, 2 Na plus ions. Na plus is equals to 4 into 10 power minus 5. Now check out the options. Al plus 3 and Na plus, both of them are same. Yes, correct. Say B option, SO4 2 minus is double to the Na plus, therefore that is not at all true. SO4 2 minus concentration is equals to, SO4 2 minus concentration equal to Na plus concentration plus Al plus 3 concentration. This is true. Therefore both option A as well as C, both are going to be true. Next, if you look at the next one, that is a question number 50, melting of ice at minus 1 degree Celsius and 1 atm shows melting of ice at minus 1 degree Celsius and 1 atm shows melting of ice, H2O solid to H2O liquid, delta H is equals to positive. I am just writing, I am not looking at options also. Delta S is equals to positive. Surely these two are true, because one is, this is an endothermic process and delta S is positive, that is also true. Next, and the temperature is given as at 272 Kelvin, because they have given it minus 1 degree Celsius. Now let us see. Delta G is equals to delta H minus T delta S. This value will be definitely positive. Minus T into delta S value is also going to be positive. Surely it is going to be positive. If this overall value wanted to be negative, temperature should be very, very high, but the temperature is given is minus 1 degree Celsius. At minus 1 degree Celsius, it is going to be non-spontaneous. Hence, delta G is equals to positive. True. Next. Yeah, section 2. Section 2, question number 56. Section 2, question number 56. The osmotic pressure of urea solution at 10 degrees Celsius is 200 mm of Hg becomes 105.3 mm of Hg when it is diluted and the temperature is raised to 25 degrees Celsius. The extent of dilution will be, we'll see, pi is equals to C into S into T. Pi is equals to CST. That is true. Now, what they are asking, at 10 degrees Celsius 200 mm of Hg, it becomes 105.3 when it is diluted and the temperature is raised to 25 degrees Celsius. So temperature is changing as well as concentration is also changing. Pi 1 by pi 2 is equals to C1 T1 divided by C2 T2. So here pi 1 is equals to 200 divided by 105.3, C1 divided by C2 into 283 divided by 298. C2 divided by C1 is equals to, you will get around 0.5, which means final concentration will be half of the original concentration. When final concentration will be half of the original concentration, definitely which is diluted by 2 times. Definitely it will be diluted by 2 times. Therefore, that option is going to be 2. Next one, question number 57. In that there are few some data which is given. We'll see carefully this. Question number 57. First question. In EDTA minus number of 5-membered rings is X. As we all know that ethylene diamine CH2 ethylene diamine tetraacetate, as we know, and it is a hexadentate ligand. Now if you have iron here having Fe+3, where 5-membered ring which is possible? For example, I am taking right over from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One 5-membered ring is possible. Next one, from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another 5-membered ring is possible. From here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here also another 5-membered ring. Here also another 5-membered ring. Therefore, how many 5-membered rings are possible? X is equals to 5. Overall, 5 5-membered rings are going to be possible. You have to draw like this and check. You have to draw like this and check. You have to draw like this and check. But if we draw like this, you will get confused. That's why I just told normally. Next, second one. Let the total number of isomers exhibited by the complex ion CO, En taken twice, NO2, Cl plus is Y. How many isomers are going to be possible for this? Now if you look at this one, this is going to be MAA taken twice to BC type. MAA taken twice to BC type, here 2 different types are going to be possible. Cis-O, trans, surely. Again, linkage isomerism is possible. In that, cis-O, trans-O, in that cis is going to be optically active. Trans is optically inactive. The same question, similar question which is given in the FST 6 also, you just check. This is optically inactive because the plane of symmetry will be there. Now you check here N bonded, C bonded. Another one, O bonded, C bonded. N bonded, N bonded, because nitrogen connection is possible. Next, O bonded, N bonded. So how many are possible? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 possible. For these 4, one is going to be dextro, another one is levo. 4 into 2, that is equals to 8. 8 isomers. For trans, here also 4 are possible. Now what are those? N bonded, C bonded, O bonded, C bonded, N bonded, N bonded, O bonded, N bonded, overall 4. These are 8 and these are 4. 8 plus 4, that is equals to 12. So Y is equals to 12. Y equals to 12. Next, third one that we have, number of ambidentate ligands. I minus is not an ambident. NO2 minus is ambident. 1. Cn minus is ambident. 2. Next, SCn minus is ambident. 3. C2O4 2 minus is not ambident. NH3 is not ambident. En is not ambident. Therefore, these 3 are going to be ambident. Such that X is equals to 5, Y is equals to 12, and here Z is equals to 3. And what they are asking? 5 plus 12 plus 3 divided by 4, that is equals to how much? This is 1525. Therefore, answer is going to be 5. Next, question number 58. Delta G for a reaction 4 by 3 Al plus O2 gives rise to 2 by 3 Al2O3 is minus 772 kilojoules per mole of O2. Therefore, calculate the minimum EMF. Calculate the minimum EMF in volts required to carry out an electrolysis process. As we all know that delta G is equals to minus NF E cell. Minus NF E cell. Now this is going to be minus 772 into 10 cube. 10 cube because of kilojoules. That is equals to number of electrons which are going to be transferred. How many number of electrons transferred during this process? If you balance this one, then you can understand, or we can check with this. Aluminium, here it is having 0 oxidation state and it is converting into plus 3 oxidation state. 0 to plus 3, therefore 3 electrons are transferred. 3 into 4 by 3, therefore 4 into 96,500 into E cell. Calculate it. Then you will get the answer of this one. Now, paper 1, it looks to be promising, but it is very easy. Hope you have done well. We'll meet in paper 2.